January meeting. We'll call it to order. On the agenda, the first order of business is approval of the January regular minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the January minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the new town hall, which we've tabled for the time being. So the next thing would be Frank Frazier, 160D report from last month. Is Mr. Frazier on the meeting?
I am.
Hey, Mr. Frazier. We
Good
appreciate
evening,
you
Mayor.
joining us.
Good
Yes.
evening, Mayor and Board. Hope you can hear me a little better this time.
Yeah. All right.
Just if you wanted me to, of course, wanted me to go ahead and do just a little bit of overview with the 160D regulations. The legislature back in 2019 wanted to incorporate regulations that primarily dealt with cities and counties and wanted to incorporate it into one document, which is now 160D. It combined 150A and 160A together, and it was trying to be a single unified document, which, like I said, would hopefully simplify the process as it relates to zoning and other matters. It has been delayed. Originally, it was due 1st of January of 2021. Due to COVID and other things, it was moved back to June of this year. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get the Bunn zoning ordinance into compliance with the 160D regulations. A number of things that will go into the ordinance. I have, thank goodness, the School of Government is very heavily involved with this, and they have done a number of things that are helping communities track and understand what the changes are and what is needed. They produced a checklist of things there are a lot of things that are things that you must have in the document in your zoning ordinance. Some things that are may, and others that are just a few others that are just some options for us. When we do this, I think we need to look at all of them to make sure that we get the best ordinance we can if that's done. Number of things that are going into the 160D is vested rights. There's vested rights statements that you must include and make sure that is included in your document. Conflicts of interest with your board. That we currently do have a statement about conflicts of interest. So that's something that we can modify, and making sure the language is consistent with 160D. But there are things such as the creation of and the duties of the boards, the administration, powers, and what they're really trying to do is make sure that everybody pretty much consistently follows the process that you have to go through. One thing that was mentioned in the last time, and Chairman Vollmer mentioned that, was about existing permits. Going forward, when 160D is adopted, we do have provisions for conditional use permits in our current language. That's going to change. That will go to a special use permit, and the conditional use permits and others that are already permitted, that's not affected. But we will have to make some provisions, if there are projects on the board, when this is in the process of being adopted, but we're applied for, you have to allow the developers or whatever a chance to utilize either the existing regulations or the new ones, depending on how that affects them. And, in some instances, it could be better for the developer if there was something that changed that was more favorable for them as far as the regulations are concerned. Like I said, it was mentioned last time. This does not affect the zoning districts and those types of things. The legislature wasn't trying to get into how individual towns zoned a certain area or those types of things. It was more or less to, like I said, to get the processes down to how zoning permits and other things are carried out from that standpoint. Was actually in a conference by Zoom last week with School of Governments, another half a morning of that they did as they continue to help towns carry through this throughout. One of the items that comes up is, there's always been times when, if regulation, if a developer is building something and they want to make a change, yet the Board of Adjustment and Zoning Board may have approved it one way, but it'd be minor things like, if you had to rearrange the parking lot, yet the parking amount stays the same, that there are things like that they want you to include in the ordinance that gives the administrator some ability to make that change versus having to go back before the board and, causing time and possible big delays with that. So there are some things in the 160D that have been pointed out, and like I said, with the work that we've been and time that we spent with the School of Government, there are a lot of questions that have come out in between then that I think will help carry the process out. It is going to take some time doing this to make sure that we cover all the regulations and come out with the best product that we can for the town of Bunn and meeting the regulations and fulfilling that. It is, like I said, we have a pretty aggressive time frame to get this done, as there would need to be meetings with our planning board and possibly some joint meetings to maybe save some time, and then public hearings before we bring this, before it could be adopted by the town commissioners. So I think I've covered most of the items that I talked about last time. I know Chairman Volmel is on if I missed anything, but to be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Frank, in that letter that you had sent us on January 13th, you had said that they, I guess the General Assembly was meeting as far as possibly extending the deadline. Was that extended, or do you know?
No, ma'am. We have been kind of following that, and there's been no action that we're aware of to delay that any further. Not saying that it can't, at some point in time, but we've seen no indication that they've talked about it, to possibly extend that.
Okay. And the code scan, where the, I guess, we can have our ordinance looked at. Is that something you feel would be beneficial, or do we need to do that?
Yes, ma'am. I do think that would be beneficial. School of Government, like I said, they're following this extremely close and trying to help out with this process. It gives us, about 10 hours of review, and I think it would be very beneficial, up front. If they do point something out that we may have, that they may feel like it's be a problem, there will be, we will need to have consultation with Attorney Williamson as we go about this process to make sure, that he feels comfortable with that as well. But I do think the School of Government will need to, I think it's a good idea if you do that.
Okay, so that would be $1,200. That's, I believe, is the cost on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're recommending that we have that we do that?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's a good idea to do that. And it's, they won't write it for you, but like I said, it's a good review of it for someone with their staff staff attorneys that, like I said, just give a good review of it to see, if it feel like it meets the regulations on it. And I think at some point in time, we probably, if the board is interested in doing that, we probably would need to let them know that, because at some point, I'm not sure, if they'll have the capacity, if they get a lot of ordinances in at one time, whether they would put us on a waiting list not to do that.
Yeah, because we don't actually have it. Well, about 4 or 5 months to get this thing completed.
That's correct. We are, Michael and I have been working on a proposed contract, and that's in our director's review now. So we hopefully can get that to you here pretty shortly.
Okay. Before our next meeting in March?
Yes, ma'am, I would think so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Frank? Okay. All right. If no other questions, Frank, we appreciate you coming and being with us tonight and explaining this new proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have any questions in between, just feel free to give me a call.
Okay, thanks. Have a good evening.
Okay.
The next thing on the agenda is our ordinance, nuisance ordinance with Danny Udy. Is Mr. Udy here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right, Danny, we appreciate you joining us with this Zoom meeting. I hope all of you have your copy of the nuisance that Danny had submitted for us to review. Danny, if you kind of go into why we're looking at expanding it, I would appreciate that.
All right. Right now, as far as your nuisance, you only have about 5 items that you can actually do anything about. I don't have a copy of that with me because I'm at home right now. But this here is about 21 different nuisances that could be used in your jurisdiction. Some of these have already been questioned, and I had told your maintenance guy that we couldn't do anything because there's not an ordinance on that. This is one that I use in the town of Sharpsburg, and what you would do is you would look at each one to see if it fits the needs of Bunn, and then you can adjust, change, or delete it completely from the list if you don't need it. For example, like the very first one, Sharpsburg has their grass at 18 inches. You have 12, so you would just keep that one like you have. But the others that you look at would be like your garbage and food waste. Of course, I've used that at the diner right there beside of Subway. And there's several others. I don't recall right now which ones were asked about the guy in maintenance, but there was nothing. I think one was water runoff, where someone had a ditch that would overflow into their yard, and I don't believe you had anything that would cover that. But this here would. So if you look at those, and if you have any questions about any of those, I'll be here to answer them. And the other thing is I'm not able to find an abatement for any of these if they don't do it. Now, under your zoning, I think you have a $50 fee, and that's what I've been using, but I don't really see one specifically in your ordinance for nuisances. So that would be something that you would need to develop also. You may not want your nuisance as low as your zoning. You may want it higher. You may want it the same, or you could lower it. And that would be up to the board, because all of this that you're doing would be for what Bunn needs only. So if you have any questions, just feel free.
Okay, on what you submitted, we have the list of nuisances, but it doesn't, and you were talking about the abatement. On our current one has a enforcement and procedure for remedy under that. It doesn't have an amount, but it does have those listed. So would that need to be added to what you are proposing here?
Well, your excuse me, your fee schedule would, and also I believe, if I remember it correctly, you have it where only the health department and the chief of police can do the work on this. Now, the way that I'm getting away with this is it says under the supervision of the board. So I take it that the contract that the company has with you, I follow that as being under the supervision of you. So that's how I do the ordinance in this. Your health department really doesn't have anything to do with nuisances. And then it has in there that only the chief of police can write a citation. Well, that's true for a criminal citation. So that would have to be stipulated. But under the civil, I have the authority to write, like if you have an abatement that says after this date, you'll be fined $50 a day until the nuisance has been taken care of. Well, I have the right to put that fine into place. And there are several ways that we would collect it. One is if they pay it. Two would be if they don't, you could put a lien on the property. Three, you could take them to small claims court. And the other one could be the tax write-off that y'all do. So there's several ways of trying to collect this money. And then anything, like if someone came in and says, I want to waiver this because I took care of it, only the board has that authority to waive the fee once I impose it. I don't have that authority. So they would have to come before you to ask for leniency.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Udy? Or comments?
Do we have a copy of the proposed revision to the nuisance ordinance?
It was in our last meeting.
And even if you don't have any tonight, anytime that you do, just give me a call or email me, and I will call you and explain the ones that you have a question about. Being on the school board, I understand sometimes things come before you that you're reading it, but it doesn't hit you till about a day later. Oh, well, I should have asked about that. So I'll be glad for you to either email me or call me, and I can explain whichever one you have a question about.
One of the things I had a question about, Danny, was in the other one, our old one at under section 2, number 4, it says any grading or accumulation of soil causing or threatening to cause the washing of such soil and or the flow of water onto the lands of the town or lands owned by private landowners, which is or may be dangerous or prejudicial to the public health or safety. So I didn't see anything addressing any type of grading in this one you had submitted.
I think there is one in here about, I don't know if it's worded that way. I'm going through trying to see. Okay, I think it's number 12. It says a collection place, pool or pond of stagnant or foul water or persistent dampness caused by overflowing septic, man-made dams, open ditches, overflowing pipes, foundation trenches, or other impoundments of any kind. That would be such if someone went out and altered the ditch in front of the yard and it caused a water runoff, or if they were to hook their gutters to a piping system and ran the water into their yard. Things in that order would cover under that one. Grading, not sure about the grading. So that's what I was looking for. I know the town of Youngsville, I believe, had one, and I can't recall what it exactly said because they had a situation where someone brought a lot of dirt in, and what it did is they had a runoff going into the creek. And I don't recall if I used this or if I used one in a different zoning or something. So I'm not sure about the grading. I'd have to look into this where I can take time to read each one.
Okay, yeah, if you would check on that, because we have had some issues where people have done some grading or different things, and it ended up causing a problem on the neighbors' property.
And sometimes when they do this, it falls up under a civil suit between neighbors, and there's nothing the town or anyone can do anything about. I have had situations like that. I was trying to think of the name of the street behind Subway. It's just not coming to me.
Nash.
And that was the situation there because of what they had done in the past, and now someone else had bought the property. That was more of a civil case between them than it was a nuisance case.
Okay.
So everything has to be looked at from different angles. But if you have one in there that specifically states grading, then that would be an ordinance that could be used. But if it's not, then sometimes they turn into civil cases.
Okay.
And just briefing to me, I don't see anything about grading.
I know at different times we've asked you to check into things, and you've made us aware that we really didn't have an ordinance that we would cover what we were asking about. So that's one of the reasons that we're bringing this, and hopefully we can get more things where we can enforce in town. So I appreciate you getting us this list, and we'll work on refining it some more and probably present it back to the town board in a couple of months for them to look at again.
Yes, and the only thing I would
Any other
recommend,
questions from the town council?
What were you going to say you would recommend, Danny?
that before y'all take a vote to have a public hearing on these to get their input. Sometimes when the public comes in, they may present something a little different, which you may want to reword that one ordinance. That helps a lot before y'all do your final vote. And I know y'all do that anyway. You have public meetings.
Any other questions? We appreciate you coming in. Thanks, Danny.
All right. Do you need me any more tonight?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
If no one has any questions.
All right. Well, I'll be signing off. And if y'all
okay. Hold on just 1 minute, Danny, in case anybody did have any questions about the letters you sent out or
okay.
on your log. Did anybody have any questions? Okay. We appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Y'all too. Bye.
Okay. Next on the agenda is new business, and Pam will recognize you.
Sorry, yeah, it's just 2 items on there to, that we need to get rid of. One is the computer that was in the wrecked car. And also there's a broken desk chair, office chair.
Okay. So do I have a motion that these items are to be destroyed or discarded?
I motion these items are destroyed or discarded in the safe and appropriate legal manner for a police computer.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next thing on the agenda is our reports, and we'll recognize Russ Vollmer with Planning and Zoning.
Okay, good evening, commissioners and other folk on the call. It's good to be with you. I wanted to go through quickly a summary of the sign ordinance that the planning board has finished. It has become, and with Frank's kind of leadership there, just making sure that everyone is aware that there will have to be, because we're talking about really adopting a new sign ordinance, there has to be a public hearing where this would be, I guess, officially announced, and then the public has the opportunity to comment on these changes. It's interesting, the original sign document, sign ordinance document that we began working with was adopted in 1981. Okay. And then there was a revision. Actually, no, there was a new ordinance that was adopted in May of 2007, and a revision to that in June of 2011. So we're talking 10 years since there was any work done on the town sign ordinance. So if you remember how this came up, there were certain signs within the ETJ that were falling down, were in disrepair, were just basically had been abandoned. And then when we went to look at, well, what kind of enforcement does the town have? There was nothing specifically in there that gave the town any ability to even remove the signs that have been abandoned. So that was the catalyst that kind of brought this on. And then there were some other issues that we worked on. So I would just like to go through that briefly with you. So what we did is we had a workshop. The Planning and Zoning Board had a workshop on December 14th. And Frank brought in sign ordinance examples from the town of Youngsville, Franklin County's sign ordinance, and also the town of Lewisburg, as well as ours. So, so we've got basically 4 different examples of current ordinances for us to kind of chew over. Okay, so now we resolved this issue with obsolete signs. Okay, I want to read to you the new language. Where is it? Here it is right here. Okay, so this is the new language that gives us the ability to deal with obsolete signs. Signs can be made. I'm under section 2, signs, construction, and placement. Signs can be made with any material that is durable and sturdy. Such materials may include wood, metal, steel, aluminum, and plastics. Such signs may be put together with any hardware deemed secure enough to hold it in place in a minor weather event. Signs and sign structures shall be maintained at all times in a state of proper repair, with all braces, bolts, clips, guides, anchors, supporting frames, and fastenings free from deterioration, insect infestation, rot, rust, or loosening. All signs shall be kept neatly finished with lettering intact and of a type which requires painting, free from visible peeling or chipping. Obsolete signs that are and their supporting structures shall be removed within 90 days after they have been made obsolete by reason of the activity, business, product, or uses which the sign identifies or advertises, being abandoned at the location to which the sign refers. The provision does not refer to billboards until the commercial use of the billboard for rent has ceased. An extension of the 90-day time for removal may be granted by the zoning administrator for reasonable cause. Okay, so that's what we needed, and that's the language that would address that particular issue that the town had. Other additions and changes that were made, or I guess clarifications, because there was a question in regards to how far out this new sign ordinance reaches as far as its jurisdiction. Okay, so I want to read that to you as well. And it says, after review of the zoning regulations, it states in Article 2 under jurisdiction that the regulations presented in this ordinance shall comply to all property within the corporate limits of the town of Bunn, North Carolina, and within the territory beyond such corporate limits as now and hereafter fixed for a distance of approximately 1 mile in all directions, as established in ordinance with the Virginia statute, which is on file in the Office of the Register of Deeds of Franklin County. So that makes it clear that the sign ordinance is all the way to the ETJ. Okay, so that would relay that concern there. And then finally, the other thing that we brought up, and again, if you remember, the last time that this ordinance was even worked on was 10 years ago, and it came down to illuminated signs. Okay, so before I even go into that, I want you to know that we did put an exception in here for government signs, and government signs do include school signs. Okay, all right. So what I'm getting ready to read to you, any type of government sign or school sign would be exempt to that. Okay, so there was an ordinance consideration in Youngsville that our board liked. And I want to just read it to you. It says it prohibits signs with lights or illumination which flash, move, spin, blink, flicker, vary in intensity or color, or use intermittent electrical pulsations except for time and temperature. Okay, so then you have to go down and specifically the definition of an internally illuminated scrolling display. So basically what we're talking about is limiting signs that have animation, that move, that could be distracting to a driver. Okay. And it says, under that, it says backlit signs that show a maximum of 15 individual images that change, not showing more than 3 images per minute, and or attached flat to the wall or facade of a building or permanently erected monument. Okay. So this actually came up earlier before, when the town of Bunn was presented with a request from Bunn Dentistry in regards to that sign and the animation that would possibly take place with that sign. So we do have the ability to limit that. And one other option that is on the table is to handle it this way. And this was something that we came up with. Illuminated signs are currently not listed in the zoning ordinance. It was suggested that the best way to possibly handle this type of sign, not specifically listed in the zoning ordinance, be brought before the Planning and Zoning Board as part of the appeal process if a zoning permit is denied. Okay. So still leaving the opportunity for that individual to be heard and a decision made by the Planning and Zoning Board as far as whether the sign is in compliance with the new sign ordinance. Frank, did I miss anything kind of in that summary of the ordinance?
I think you said it very well. And like I said, I do think, as we talked about earlier, there may be some other things in the sign ordinance that we want to try to work on in the future, such as sizing and those types of things. But no, I think you spelled it out very well.
Okay, so thank you. So any questions about any of that?
Russ, I have one quick question regarding the signs that are like painted on the buildings. are they considered up under the section 2 of this, or are they considered different? Like the maintenance?
I would not consider that any different, Sherry. So a sign that is within, now we know that the jurisdiction would be within the ETJ. So that would be affixed to a building versus being in the ground, would still have to comply with the language that I laid out as far as the maintenance of it.
Okay, so does that need to be actually, I mean, considered putting in this writing in section 2, or is it just going to be known that, you know, it's included? Should we state it, signs on buildings, or no, in this section 2?
That's a good question. I guess I would we would have to go back and look specifically to make sure that it could either be inferred that, Sherry, or we could very specifically add that language to the ordinance. And, and that's a good point. The other thing, even though we've got this work product kind of ready, it doesn't mean that we can't add something to it, add clarification like you're talking about, to have that for the public hearing. That actually can be done. So I don't know. We would probably have to, Frank and I would probably have to huddle on that and to see if the current language addresses signs attached to buildings.
Okay, because I know a lot of people are going to that, and they're also going, to the painted signs. And, as well as I do, they need to be maintenance as well, the painted ones also.
Yeah. So let us, we will definitely do that. Frank and I will huddle on that and see what we need to do.
Okay, that's all I have.
Russ, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the regulation that states at whose cost these signs would be taken down or repaired or maintained? If someone abandons a sign and it takes Tony and the guys 3 hours to take it apart because it's all rusted and disgusting, are we just eating that as a town over and over?
Yeah, but I mean, based on the current language, that's exactly what's happening. The town is incurring the cost to be able to remove the nuisance. And if that is something that the commissioners are concerned about, I mean, obviously that could be something that is worked on. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, right now, and based on the current ordinance that would be before the community, and of course in front of the commissioners, there wouldn't be any language in there that would require the landowner to do that at their cost.
If I may could add to that, that may be something we want to, because I think we would have to give them, once we get someone that's calling about the obsolete sign, or we discover it, that we need to probably contact the owner or landowner and let them know that. And then, that may be something we could put in the provision that, if it isn't done within those amount of days, that, the city, town could take it under to get it done, if it isn't properly done. So that's something we could certainly look into as well.
Okay, and then the final thing that I have, Marcia, in other discussions with Frank, the town of Bunn does not have a subdivision application. And we need to develop one. Not that we have, developers circling us like wagons yet. They're not. But the fact is that subdivision applications provide necessary information from the potential developers for subdivisions that the town of Bunn needs and Carter Council of Government needs. And so the good news is we do have working drafts from other municipalities that we can draw from, and we can create one of our own. All right, so similar to the way we used other signed ordinances from other towns, we would pull subdivision applications that other towns are using and work through them to develop one that speaks Bunn, that is Bunn, and then present that to you for review and approval. So, so that's something that I would like to lead the zoning and planning board. That would be the next one of the next areas that we would work on is developing that subdivision application. So other than that, Marcia, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, and appreciate you and Frank, and I believe I saw Michael on here earlier. The hard work that y'all do with our zoning. Do any of the other commissioners have questions for any of these guys? Okay, well, I know we had the comments and questions about the new sign construction placements. So once y'all get it fine tuned and ready for us to have a public hearing, if you'll give us a little bit of notice and we'll get that set up.
Okay.
Okay, thank y'all. We appreciate it. Okay,
Yes.
we'll continue on with reports, and Rich could not be here. I believe y'all have a report from him in your packet, and December sales were up from last year, which for the town of Bunn is a good thing, I guess. So he said a check will soon be prepared and given to the town shortly, and we appreciate that. We also, next we'll recognize Tony Lowry with the Public Works. Is Tony on board?
I'm here.
Okay, Tony.
Good evening. We took down the Christmas lights and changed out the flags. We painted the curb and gutter and handicap ramp in front of the post office and the no parking area in front of the beauty salon in front of the ABC store. We also cleaned all the curb and gutter in town. Still picking up a lot of trash. We cleaned all the drainage pipes going to the sewer plant. The path has been flooded bad in the past year. I got only one quote from Clint Newsom with per year. We have used him a lot in the past, and he's very reliable. Clint was the only company to send a quote in. I called several in our area, but no response. The price we have from Clint are for the old cemetery, which is the paths in there are terrible. We're having a lot of complaints about the mud, and the sewer plant. The sewer plant's going to take recycled concrete. It's going to be a whole lot cheaper than putting ABC stone down where it won't wash. And it's going to take 30 tons at the sewer plant of that recycled concrete and he gave us a price of $530. And that's right around $17.67 a ton. The ABC stone for the old cemetery is around $920. That's 40 tons, and that's right around $23 a ton. I was wondering if the board would see about if we can go ahead, once it dries out and quits raining, if we can possibly go ahead and get that and be working on that.
Do I have a motion to approve this purchase for 30 tons for recycled concrete for the sewage plant and 40 tons for the old cemetery of ABC stones?
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have any questions?
Tony, I have some pictures that I would like to get with you as far as the old cemetery is concerned. I didn't realize that this was coming up at the meeting. And there's one area, if you go straight when the pavement ends about 3/4 of the way down, that it looks like the actual path needs to be cut down a little bit, that it's damming up when it's a big rain. If you could maybe call me one day this week, and I'd like for you to go
Okay, will do.
before we put more stone on top of it.
Okay, no problem.
So
Thank you.
now your proposal was for the sewer plant and for the old cemetery, but nothing for the new cemetery. Is that correct?
That's correct. We just put the stone on it and moved that last year. It's pretty, the new
Okay.
cemetery is in pretty good shape.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. You have anything else, Tony?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And we had a high level alarm at Warren Avenue lift station Sunday. Came in and pumped that down, got that back going. And we had a power outage at Bunn Elementary school station and had to have New Day Set to come out, pump it down. And they kept pumping it down, got one full load out of it there today. And Breedlove Electric came in and found the issue, and it was a burnt relay switch. So we've got that up back and running now. And also all the state reports have been completed and sent in. And that's all I've got.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for Tony? Okay. We appreciate it. Thank you, Tony. The next thing we have on the would be for Steve Massey, Police Chief.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's nice and dry inside the house. On my activity or detail summary list, on the investigation side, we had 3 incidents, one break and enter and 1 destruction of damaged personal property. 1 other offense, 1 accident we had month of January. We also had 4 charges, 3 citations, 1 failure to stop, 1 infraction, 1 speeding, and 1 secondary charge. He had 7 speeding warning tickets and 1 other. And we also had 1 handicap parking ordinance wrote and 1 speeding ordinance wrote also. So, and I was going back and looking, actually for all last year, I think we ended up writing some 50, a little over 50 something ordinance in 2020. So I thought that was, pretty good. I mean, it helps a lot of people. I know a lot of ones have came in and stated that, you know, especially when it comes to a speeding citation, they'd rather get a speeding ordinance than a citation that's written to them to where they have to go to a court date and affect their insurance as well. So that speeding ordinance is, I believe, is a good thing. Also, I think you saw where I've got where we know we had a accident with a patrol vehicle and the vehicle was totaled. The insurance company has finally paid out on that vehicle. And so I've got 3 quotes for a new vehicle to have that vehicle replaced. As of now, we just have that one vehicle, and that's actually for the low miles. I don't know what's going on. We're averaging putting about a gallon of antifreeze in it about every 2 to 3 days. We thought we had the problem fixed, but it's still taking antifreeze. So I've got an appointment next Wednesday to carry it back to the Ford dealership, and hopefully they'll find out exactly what's going on with it. So I hope that we can move forward as fast as we can on a new vehicle. And if you see, I reckon y'all have in front of you as well for the Dodge Charger. I went ahead and got a quote on the Dodge Charger as well. I'm not a fan of the Charger. I've run them for 30 years with the patrol. It's just, you're going to have problems with a Charger, and you're going back to the same problem that we're kind of having now with a small vehicle. But that particular total unit price was $32,715. And that's for the entire package, blue lights and everything. And then the next quote would be on a 2021 Dodge Ram, which would be a 4-wheel drive vehicle as well. And that total package would be striping, lights, and all would be $34,290 for the Dodge Ram. And then for the Dodge Durango, which is the one we have now for a full-time officer, it's kind of gone up. I know we purchased that one for Officer DeMuth for a little over 33, and it's actually gone up to 37,000 now for a Dodge Durango. Of course, it'll be a V6 Pursuit all-wheel drive vehicle. That's the 3 quotes. On top of that, the insurance company actually has paid out enough to where we would have about $20,898 to put towards the new vehicle. So we wouldn't have to come up with the entire amount. We just have to come up with the difference. And I talked to Andrew actually today, and he said that wouldn't be a problem. Of course, there had to be a budget amendment done, but that wouldn't be a problem to offset it. But we would have that 20,000, a little over 20, almost 21,000 to put towards the new vehicle. So, but obviously the Charger is the cheapest, but we've already had problems with the Charger that we had. Speaking with the sheriff, he's kind of going away from Chargers as well. He's gone to either a SUV or the trucks. So I'm more inclined to either one of them would be fine, but either one of those would be a good vehicle, I think. Good warranty on it as well. It's got 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty on the Dodge Durango as well as the Dodge Ram. So, but that's the 3 quotes.
I spoke with Kent today about the possibility of getting one of his surplus vehicles. I think he's getting ready to have a sale, but I think it was one particular vehicle he was hoping that he could surplus and the town of Bunn get it. Is that?
Yeah, I talked to him today. He said the county hasn't obviously it'd be some type of, he says around $500 that we could maybe purchase the vehicle for. It's a older model Durango. I think it's got 180,000 miles, I believe, on it. I went up last week and looked at it. I mean, I think that's a decent vehicle to have, especially he's going to leave the blue lights in it. I would have to take the striping off the side that says Franklin County Sheriff's Office and then have it restriped for, Bunn Police. But, and I think it would be good to have as a secondary vehicle. I don't foresee putting that down as our main vehicle with 180,000 miles on it. I don't think that's going to, I'd be scared we'd go through the same process we've had in some of these older vehicles we used to have. You end up having so much maintenance involved in one that you put out there every single day. And when them cars, man, when they run them, they don't ever cut them off a lot of times, especially like weather like it is now. The one we have now, if the lieutenant's on it, he'll crank it up in the morning at 7 o'clock, and that thing don't cut off until 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's and that might be what the reason is, but I know what I'm gonna carry that Taurus back to the shop next week. Problem is I don't have that one vehicle, so I've already talked to the dealership about I've got to have it there at 8 o'clock in the morning. They got to look at it and try to get it fixed before 1 o'clock because I got to pick it up by 1 and have it back in rotation by 2 o'clock that afternoon. So, but yeah, still, I think we still need that, especially for a secondary or a vehicle that if one goes down, at least we could pull that one down with higher mileage in it, or let's let ones that obviously we got some large officers that work with us as well. They could ride that one some on the weekends and stuff. But the sheriff didn't know when he could. He said that he was still waiting on the county to get back with him on that particular vehicle. And the thing about a new vehicle, even if you vote on it, tonight and say yes, we're still talking about 4 months out before we get another vehicle. But that's how long it takes to get the vehicle in, to get them to put the obviously the new lights, the new equipment, to get it striped, to get it back to the town of Bunn. I mean, they could push it a little bit faster since I'm kind of in a dire need of another vehicle right now. So they could push it. I mean, they did that last time for me. They kind of put me at the head of some agencies that are buying 10 at a time or 12 at a time. Since I'm not getting but one, they kind of stuck mine at the top of the list to get it done quick as they could.
Does anybody have any questions of Steve?
Yes, which vehicle do you prefer, Steve?
I think the truck would make a good one. I mean, for uniformity, the Durango would be a good one because it'd be basically just like the one Demuth has now. It'd be another white Dodge Durango. Basically the exact same setup as we have now. All-wheel drive, which we need, whether we might not get snow before a while, but you never know. But it is an all-wheel drive vehicle. It's a whole lot larger than the Taurus the full Tauruses that we have now. Them things are so small. We've already had a situation where the seat was broken in one of them. So we had to replace the whole frame of the seat. And actually when that vehicle was totaled, we took the seat out of that totaled vehicle just in case that somebody breaks another seat. At least I'll have an extra seat up in Tony's shop up there. We got a seat in the frame just in case it breaks again. But that's the problem you're going to have with those small vehicles like that. I mean, they're really not designed. You got somebody getting in and out of that, 10 different people sharing one vehicle. And I'm a stickler about vehicles anyway, so I try to stay on about keeping them clean and stuff. But the Durango is a larger vehicle as well as the 4-wheel drive truck. Both of them, I think, would make a good vehicle. Either one of them, uniformity wise, the Durango would look like what we have, but I'd be just as satisfied with that Dodge Ram as well. I talked to the sheriff; he's had great service out of the ones he's got. So either one of them. The Dodge Ram truck, obviously, if we get it later on, I'd probably want to put some type of cover across the back, like a hard cover. I'd really go. I don't want a soft cover, but I would like to put a hard cover on the back because I noticed that's what he's doing to some of his trucks. He's putting those hard covers on there that in case we've got extra stuff, we can store it in the back of the bed of the truck, and then when you shut that tailgate, it automatically locks, and everything would be secure. I mean, we wouldn't keep a weapon or nothing back there, but we would, you could keep a fire extinguisher and different types of cones or equipment or something like that. We could store that in the back instead of having it on the back seat of the truck. So that would be the only extra cost of the pickup truck.
So now we have in our fleet of vehicles, we've got 2 Durangos and 1 Taurus. Is that what we've got?
That's correct. Yep. So, and sometimes what it is to have that overlap once in a while. I'll have Lieutenant Goodrow, he'll work and stay out until 4 o'clock, especially when school was in. I mean, school was not in now, but when school was in, it really helped because the students they knew that when that officer was in the middle of the highway at 245, they could do what they wanted to, where they wanted to, because they knew they want nobody else around patrolling that much. Now, you've got the officer working at 245 in the highway, directing traffic, and then I might be down Warren Avenue riding, and then I've got another officer, Goodrow. He's out at about 4 o'clock. He's over there where I used to have problems behind the subway with them, smoking and everything else. So it just kind of kept everybody on the P's and Q's, knowing there's more than one officer out patrolling, because they figured out, man, they get on their phone and know exactly where that one officer was. So now you have the situation where when the officer comes out at 2, I'm adjusting the schedule because Goodrow stays out to 4. He was staying out to 4. Well, then that puts him coming out of a car and my part-time guy going in the car. So from 2 to 4, he's really not in a vehicle. He's just at the office. So we've adjusted that schedule right now, which has kind of worked out since we don't have as many kids at the school, but you still have some, like we got a couple right now. I know Sherry was telling me about that gentleman, and we kind of took care of that gentleman, Sherry, that was walking up and down to different places and panhandling for money and stuff. I mean, he still does it. That joker's smart now, but I had to write him for trespassing because we told him several places that told him they don't want him back on their property because he stands there at the door and I hate it. He's just asking for money and begging for money. So we end up having to cite him. So he's been banned from most of the places in Bunn, but I still watch him. He'll walk down the sidewalk, and as soon as he catches somebody pulling out, he'll run up to that window real quick and still try to ask for money. But things like that. It's just a whole lot easier, a whole lot better to have more than one officer at a time patrolling for several hours like that. Yeah,
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, but vehicle wise, like I said, either one of those would be good. I'd rather stay away from the Charger because of the kind of behind the scenes things I kind of know that was going on with them already.
Do I have a motion to purchase one of these vehicles? I don't know which one town board is leaning toward. And Steve's not making a specific request. It
Can
could
we
be
make a motion to purchase the
depending on
truck?
how long is one will take longer to get.
I don't think so. I just knew that the Durango is a little bit higher. I mean, it was 37 compared to the truck at 34. So But I mean, I've had great success with the Durangos we have here. Both of them are running great. I know the sheriff's got 6 or 7, and he's not had a bit of problem with those either, or his truck, either one. So, so either one I'd be fine with. It just depends on if you want to try to keep it more uniformity, then you'd have more than 2 of the same vehicles out there in the town.
How much, you were talking about that hardcover, how much do they run?
What's a hardcover, Tony? Probably $700-800, I would think. I can go back and look. I just thought about it right then, though. They make it
right around 1,000. Right up
yeah,
to
it's around 1,000. Yeah, they make a trifold one that where you can when you fold it down and put it down, it actually locks. But that thing will lock when the tailgate locks behind it. So if nobody's driving on the weekend, or when it's out and about, make sure it's completely locked when nobody could get in the back of it. So yeah, it'd probably be another 1,000. So yeah, you might as well say you're at 34. You're still at 35 then for the truck.
Okay. So do I have a motion in regard to the vehicle purchase?
I make a motion we purchase the 2021 Dodge Ram and include money in that to allow for a hard cover that locks.
Do I have a second?
Second. I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have further discussion?
I just looked that price up for that hardcover, and it's running right around $670.
Okay. Yeah, I have a gentleman right there, and Zelda could put it on. Taps and Zelda could put it on.
Mayor,
Yes.
the Durango you're talking about, the sheriff have,
Uh-huh.
I think it would be a good idea if we would get that also, if we have money to purchase it, because it will be a good backup for us.
Okay.
Just
Yeah. I actually spoke with the sheriff and I spoke with the county manager today about it. So hopefully we'll know something soon as far as that goes.
And it's always good that when we have a larger event, especially if we're going to have, eventually we'll have our parade coming back in town or any kind of large event like that. When I pull in another officer, when we had that, like the little protest we had in Bunn, and I pulled in another officer, I had to actually rig up one of Tony's maintenance trucks and put a set of blue lights in it to stick one of my officer in it, just to make ends meet. So it's always good to have that vehicle like that. I used it when I need to grab that extra officer and put them in there.
Okay, so can we include that with the motion that to purchase the Dodge Ram and if possible, the Durango from the county, if that is surplus. And that would be a motion and a second, and further discussion. All in favor of purchasing a new Ram truck and possibly getting the Durango? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any noes? Okay. All right, so that's the last thing we have it on the public. Do we have any comments on the public? Okay, Ben, did
Marcia.
you have anything? Yes.
We got a sealed bid for that
Ma'am.
car that's beside the shop.
Okay,
I got one. I'm gonna open it. This is the only one we got. Oh wow. This is from a Rigsby's Auto Parts. Town of Bunn, Rigsby Auto Parts would like to submit a bid on 2010 Dodge Charger for $507.
Hey,
507.
$507. It's Urban Rigsby.
yeah, from Nightdale. I know him.
Yeah, he's from Nightdale.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the bid.
I second.
Do I have a second? Any
I second.
discussion? Any
Actually,
discussion?
yes, Marcia, the mayor. I'm not sure what our policy is for dispersal of surplus equipment to the town, but maybe we need to review it because I actually saw Mr. Rigsby and told him about the car. I'm not sure if we should have some kind of policy in place to where we have certain people, if they could get on the email list to be emailed, because it's probably a lot of junkyards. It's probably a lot of, if we could go to marketplace, I'm not sure how we do it, or maybe we could review our policy that we have now. And I know that we're this
Okay.
bid.
I know it was what posted on Pam.
Facebook, our website, the front door at Town Hall, the police door at Town Hall, the shop. It was posted.
It's just not a lot of people right now going into the town hall and the shops because of the pandemic and stuff. This is money, this real money that we're going to get back to the citizens, basically, to have in our budget that we can, instead of having to raise taxes and stuff. So I just want to make sure that we get the most money that we can when we do decide to sell something. I'm not saying we did anything wrong, but if we had a policy in place and anybody asked, well, I didn't know. Well, this is how we do it. We have something set that we always do it a certain way.
Okay. All right. Pam, if you can look into getting a standardized policy, maybe check, see how some other towns handle theirs. And we'll bring that up.
Don, I think you go by, as far as the school of government, it goes by how much it is. As far as how you post it, anything, I think under 10,000, if I'm remembering right, it does not have to go into the paper. We can do, I think we did the last call. We put it in the paper. So I don't think it's no wrongs of, the more you get it out, we could have put it in the paper, would have been fine, something like that. But I could look at with the school of government, but I think as far as, it just goes with what price is and and what the property is.
Oh, I definitely don't think we did anything wrong, and I think we're still under this umbrella of the law by all means.
Yeah.
But if the more people know about when we sell things, and I think it's free ways of doing it, just like you say, without having to put it in the paper with Marketplace and Facebook. But there's also a lot of people that buy this kind of stuff that maybe we want to get on an email list, and we could send out a blast when we had something that we wanted to post, that we want to get rid of.
Yeah, I know the last card we did, we actually put it beside town hall with for sale sign on it. But this one, unless we want to pay a fee to have it towed, we just left it like it was. But yeah, we could do something like that. I can look into it.
Yeah. Especially with this one, I think since the motor's blown up, I think like we can drive it right now.
Oh yeah, and it wouldn't be the most attractive thing beside the road either.
No, Tony didn't know if we was going to get us a storage facility started over there beside his place, but we finally got rid of the other vehicle, and hopefully this one, so we'll be back down to 0 vehicles, Tony.
Okay. So I have a motion, I have a second. Any other comments? If not, I'll favor and accepting the bid for $507.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Okay, anything else, Pam, you have?
No, we're still working with the audits right now, trying to get stuff to them, taking it to them since we're closed. But that's mainly what we're pulling and sending stuff to them.
Okay. Ben, did you have anything? Okay. Nicole?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Don?
No, that's
Okay. Mac?
No.
Okay. Sherry?
No, not regarding the meeting tonight, but Pam, if you could reach out to Jennifer Beadle, maybe before next month, try to get a list of playground distributors, because I know we got some funding that we need to use by October, and October will be here before you know it.
I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, that's all. I don't have anything. That's all we have on our agenda and for reports. Do I have a motion to dismiss?
I make a motion to dismiss.
A second.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all for coming out tonight, and hopefully March will be a better month, right? Everybody will be more well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.